Clapperboard, before we begin, make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, because today's story will leave you speechless till the very end. It was a quiet afternoon at a small roadside diner on the outskirts of town. The sun burned softly against the glass windows, and the smell of grilled burgers and coffee filled the air. People came and went, truck drivers, travelers, locals, all with their own stories. But no one expected that one simple lunch hour would turn into something the entire town would talk about for weeks. A young pregnant woman walked into the diner that day. Her name was Clara. Her face was pale, her eyes a little tired, but she carried herself with a gentle grace. Her baby bump showed clearly beneath her simple floral dress, and she wore a faded denim jacket over it. She smiled kindly at everyone as she took a seat by the window. Clara had been on the road since morning. Her husband, Jake, a biker and leader of a local motorcycle club called the Steel Ravens, was on a charity ride nearby. Clara had come to surprise him after finishing her prenatal checkup in the city. But hunger made her stop at the diner first. She softly waved to the waiter, a tall man in his late 20s with a name tag that read Ethan. He looked frustrated, maybe tired, maybe just having one of those days. Still, Clara smiled and said politely, "Excuse me, could I please get a glass of water first?" Ethan didn't respond. He simply nodded, walked away, and returned with a glass, but instead of placing it carefully, he slammed it on the table. Water splashed, spilling over her lap and soaking her dress. Oh my God," Clara gasped, trying to grab a napkin. Her hands trembled as she tried to wipe herself off. Ethan crossed his arms. "Maybe next time, don't act like you own the place," he muttered under his breath. Her eyes widened. I didn't mean." "Sure you didn't," he snapped, turning away before she could even finish. The diner went silent. A couple of customers looked up but quickly returned to their meals, not wanting to get involved. Clara's face turned red from embarrassment. She felt the sting of tears at the corner of her eyes. She was just a woman, tired, hungry, and carrying a child. Why was she being treated like this? Still, she didn't raise her voice. Instead, she sat quietly, her trembling hand resting on her belly. "It's okay, baby," she whispered softly. "Mommy's okay." But she wasn't. Her heart ached, not just from the insult, but from how easily kindness had disappeared from the world. A few minutes later, a group of motorbikes roared outside the diner. The sound echoed through the walls, loud and powerful. Every head in the diner turned toward the window. Ethan rolled his eyes. "Great. The biker gang's here again," he muttered, straightening his apron. The door swung open, and in walked Jake, leather jacket, beard, tattoos, and a stare that could silence a room. Behind him followed three other bikers, all wearing the Steel Ravens insignia. Clara's face lit up. "Jake!" The moment he saw her, his expression softened completely. He rushed toward her, kneeling beside the table. "Baby, what are you doing here? You shouldn't have been traveling alone." "I just wanted to surprise you," she smiled weakly. "But I think I surprised the wrong person first." Jake frowned, noticing her soaked dress. "What happened?" Ethan, standing nearby, smirked. "She spilled her own drink. Maybe next time she'll watch what she's doing." The entire diner went still again. Jake slowly stood up, his towering frame casting a long shadow across the floor. His voice was calm, but dangerously calm. "Is that what happened, honey?" Clara shook her head. He threw it at me, Jake. But please, don't." Before she could finish, Jake turned toward Ethan. "You threw water at my wife?" Ethan stepped back. "Look, man, I didn't know." Jake's jaw tightened. "You didn't know she was pregnant? You didn't know she's a human being?" The other bikers stood behind him, their arms folded, their eyes sharp. But Jake didn't move closer. He didn't yell. Instead, he walked to the middle of the diner, turned to the customers, and spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. "This woman," he said, pointing to Clara, "is my wife. She's carrying our child. And that means she deserves respect, just like anyone else in this room. You don't need to be someone's husband, wife, or biker to know that." Silence. Even the sound of the kitchen stopped. Jake turned back to Ethan, his voice softer now. "Son, I don't care who hurt you today or what kind of bad day you're having, but you don't take it out on people who did nothing wrong. You've got a choice right now. You can apologize and make it right, or you can live knowing you disrespected a woman who carried life." Ethan's throat tightened. His anger melted into shame. His eyes dropped to the floor. For the first time, he really saw Clara, not as a customer, but as a person. A mother. Someone gentle who didn't deserve his frustration. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Then louder, "I'm really sorry, ma'am." Clara gave a small, kind smile. "It's okay. We all have bad days." Jake nodded, satisfied, and helped her stand. The other bikers quietly left a few large bills on the counter before walking out. But as they reached the door, Jake turned back to Ethan. "Remember something," he said quietly. "Respect isn't earned by fear, it's built by kindness." They rode off, the sound of their motorcycles echoing in the distance. Later that night, Ethan sat alone after his shift. He couldn't stop thinking about what happened. He'd been rude before, sure, but this time, he'd gone too far. Maybe because he'd been angry about his own struggles, his mom in the hospital, his bills piling up, his frustration with life. But none of that justified cruelty. The next morning, when the steel ravens rode by again, Ethan stepped outside. He handed Jake a takeout bag. "For your wife," he said. "Free lunch. Healthy stuff for her and the baby." Jake smiled and shook his hand. "That's what I like to see." Weeks later, when Clara gave birth to a baby boy, a small card arrived at the hospital. It read, "Thank you for your kindness when I didn't deserve it. Ethan." Sometimes, the biggest lessons come from the smallest moments. A spilled glass of water. A simple apology. A choice between pride and compassion. And that day, one angry waiter learned that kindness doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. Movie camera. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Because you never know, the next story might just change how you see people forever. Sparkling Heart.